The Galactic Council had declared humans too soft for frontier worlds. Too emotional, too weak. But Kayla hadn't asked for their permission when she'd found the Vrakan cubs shivering in the ruins of their nest, their mother's body still warm beneath the collapsed stone. Vrakan were apex predators, six-limbed hunters with obsidian claws and intelligence that rivaled any sentient species. They were feared across 12 star systems, their hunting packs capable of decimating entire colonies. No one domesticated Vrakan. No one even tried. Kayla had wrapped the 3 mewling cubs in her thermal jacket anyway. That was 7 years ago. Now, Rover stood at her side on the observation deck of the Wanderer's Hope, his massive frame towering over her 5'6" stature. His midnight black scales caught the light from the distant star, and his amber eyes that could track a target from 3 kilometers away, watched the approaching fleet with predatory focus. 17 ships, Rovar rumbled, his voice a deep bass that vibrated through Kayla's chest. Catherine Raiders. They think we're easy prey. Kayla smiled, running her hand along the ridge of his spine, a gesture that would have gotten anyone else disemboweled. They didn't do their research. Behind them, Rovar's siblings, Shale and Mira, were already in the armory, their excitement palpable even from a distance. The bond between Kayla and her 3 Vrakan wasn't just loyalty. It was something deeper, something the Council's xenobiologists couldn't explain. When she hurt, they felt it. When they hunted, she knew their thoughts. The human outposts in the Outer Rim had been suffering for months. The Catherine Raiders swept through settlements like wildfire, taking what they wanted and leaving ash behind. They'd grown bold, believing themselves untouchable. The Council had sent envoys. The Raiders had sent back their heads, so the colonies had called Kayla. The Council members had protested, of course. You're sending a single human and 3 animals? They'd scoffed, but the colonists knew better. Stories traveled fast in the Outer Rim. Stories of the human woman who walked with death itself, who'd turned the galaxy's most feared predators into her family. The first Catherine ship made contact, demanding immediate surrender. Kayla yawned and closed the channel. Rover, she said calmly. You remember the canyon drill? His lips pulled back, revealing rows of serrated teeth. Every detail. Good, take Shale and hit their flanks. Mira stays with me for the command ship. Kayla's fingers danced across the console, calculating trajectories. They'll expect us to run or hide. Show them what humanity learned from you instead. What the galaxy didn't understand about humans was their adaptability. While other species relied on technology or natural weapons, humans learned, they observed. They evolved not through biology, but through bond and strategy. Kayla had spent 7 years learning the Vrakan way, how they hunted, how they communicated, how they turned every environment into an advantage, and in return, she'd taught them human ingenuity, patience, deception, and the art of turning an enemy's confidence into a fatal weakness. The Raiders breached the station's outer hull within minutes, their troops pouring through like a swarm. They found corridors dark and silent. No resistance, no defenders, just darkness. Then Rover struck. He dropped from the ventilation shafts like a nightmare made flesh, his 6 limbs propelling him faster than the Catherine sensors could track. His claws carved through armor plating as if it were silk. Behind him, Shale erupted from the floor panels, her smaller frame built for speed and precision. She moved like liquid shadow, her strikes surgical and devastating. The Raiders had numbers. They had weapons designed to level cities. But they'd never faced anything like this. Predators, who'd been raised by a species that turned warfare into science. Kayla watched the carnage through Mira's eyes, their bond allowing her to see. Through the Vrakan's superior vision, she guided them with subtle thoughts, adjusting their patterns, calling out targets. They moved as one organism, an extension of her will and their instinct. When the Catherine commander finally reached the bridge, he found Kayla sitting calmly in the captain's chair. Mira coiled beside her like a living weapon. You're human, he snarled, his 3 eyes wide with disbelief. You're supposed to be weak. Kayla stood slowly and Mira rose with her, a low growl building in her throat. Weak? Kyla's voice was soft, almost gentle. We're the species that takes the galaxy's nightmares and teaches them to love. We turn killers into family. We adapt, we bond, we endure. She stepped forward, and the commander instinctively stepped back. You raid colonies because you think you're apex predators, Kayla continued. But you've never met a species that doesn't need claws or armor to dominate. We have something better. We have loyalty that transcends instinct. Rover and Shale emerged from the shadows behind the commander, their bodies drenched in the aftermath of battle. They didn't attack. They simply stood there waiting for Kayla's word. "Here's your choice," Kayla said. "Leave this sector and never return, or find out why the Vraken stopped hunting humans the moment they met us." The commander looked at the three massive predators, then at the small human woman who commanded them. He saw death in their eyes and something worse in hers, the absolute certainty of someone who'd already won. His fleet retreated within the hour. Later, as Kayla stood in the observation deck watching the stars, Rover approached and lowered his great head to rest. Against her shoulder, a gesture of affection he'd shown since he was a cub small enough to fit in her arms. "The council will want explanations," he murmured. Kayla scratched, behind his jaw ridge, right where he liked it. "Let them wonder. They think humans are weak because we show compassion. They don't understand that compassion is the strongest bond in the universe." She looked at Rovar, then at Shale and Mira, who'd joined them. Her family. Her pack. "You didn't just mature into elite hunters," she said softly. "You became something the galaxy's never seen. Predators with purpose, strength with heart. And together we're unstoppable." Rover's purr rumbled through the deck. "We are yours, Kayla, today, tomorrow, always." And in the cold darkness of space, the human and her Vraken stood together, proof that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was their ability to turn the universe's fiercest creatures into family.